About 10 months ago, I made a video called Tag Team Wrestling in 2024 Sucks. In it, I laid out just how rough the tag team landscape had become. Barely any real teams, barely any real stories, and a general lack of effort across the board, both in WWE and AEW. Despite this, I ended that video on an optimistic note. The Motor City Machine Guns and the Lucha Bros were both heading to WWE, which felt like a big deal. I thought that these two editions of real tag teams would really mix things up in WWE and breathe some life into the division. On the other side, I even said AEW losing the Lucha Bros might actually be a good thing, that maybe such a big loss would light a fire under their creative and get them to finally take tag team wrestling seriously again. But now, it's 2025, we're halfway through the year, and yeah, tag team wrestling still sucks. Let's talk about it.
Oh, and by the way, Beaner Bronco Buster?
Yeah.
Where the hell did that come from?
Improv.
That was wonderful.
Before we go any further, let's take a step back and talk about why tag team wrestling is special. Because when it's done right, tag team wrestling can be some of the most exciting, emotionally charged storytelling in all of wrestling. There's a rhythm to great tag matches, a back and forth momentum that builds tension in ways singles matches simply can't. There are just so many components and extra layers that tag matches have. The drama of a hot tag, the strategy of isolating a weaker opponent, the eventual chaos of all four wrestlers going at it at once, the timing it takes to break up a pin at the very last second. When it clicks, tag team wrestling feels like a symphony. Every movement, every save, every double team spot working together to create something special. But more than just in-ring mechanics, tag team wrestling is about relationships. It's about brotherhood, sisterhood, loyalty, betrayal. The emotional core of tag team wrestling is the bond between two people, and when that bond is tested, whether in defeat or even victory, the payoff hits so much harder. Think DIY, The Shield, The Golden Lovers. These stories work because they're about more than just titles. They're about people. And when you have actual teams, not just two singles wrestlers awkwardly mashed together, that's when it really shines. That's what makes tag team wrestling matter. This is one of the biggest things missing in modern tag team wrestling. Too many teams are just two wrestlers who have nothing to do as singles wrestlers thrown together. Sure, this can create lightning in a bottle every once in a while, but for the most part, it's two wrestlers who would honestly rather be doing something else. So let's take a look at some of the tag teams of today, starting in WWE. I am not joking, I didn't know who the tag team champs were on either brand. The New Day and the Street Profits? That's news to me. But this isn't my fault. Neither set of tag titles have been defended on a pay-per-view since WrestleMania, and even that match was just an ad. You cannot convince me WWE didn't put New Day vs War Raiders on the card solely to promote Clash of Clans. I mean, this is seriously a joke. I know we all complain about the amount of ads WWE has had recently, but an entire match being on WrestleFreaking-Mania just for an ad is ridiculous. And the problem is not the talent either. New Day and Street Profit are both great tag teams, capable of making the tag titles feel important. I mean, they've done it before. But they are simply not being given the opportunities. WWE actually has a lot of great teams. Both DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns were making the tag divisions feel special around WrestleMania, but that hype has quickly died out. We have teams like the Creeds, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, Fraxium. These are all really good teams, but like I've said already, they're not being given the opportunity to do anything. Tag team wrestling is not dead in WWE, it's just not being used the right way. We see so many high-profile tag team matches that literally main event pay-per-views, but the problem goes back to them not being real teams. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso versus Logan Paul and John Cena main evented Money in the Bank. That is flat out lazy. These kinds of matches have star power, but that's about it. There's no story rooted in tag team chemistry or teamwork. These are singles feuds disguised as tag matches. The same thing goes for Cody and Rollins against Roman and The Rock at Mania. It's just not real tag team wrestling. Now let's talk about AEW, and they might have just as many problems as WWE. Let's start with a positive though. Unlike with WWE, I actually did know that the Hurt Syndicate were the tag team champions. And that's where the positives end. AEW's last 3 pay-per-views were Double or Nothing, Dynasty, and Revolution. Let's look at who the Hurt Syndicate faced at each of these shows, starting with the most recent and possibly most forgettable, Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes. Yawn. Then at Dynasty they faced Big Bill and Brian Keith. Yawn. Lastly at Revolution they faced the Outrunners. I know a lot of people liked the Outrunners at the time, but for me, this is a yawn as well. So while Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin are a great, formidable team, their competition is non-existent. Like, I get they're supposed to be as scary, dominating champions, but not once have I ever felt like they had the slightest chance of losing the titles because their opponents have all been insanely weak. And that's part of something you need to make tag team wrestling feel special. You can't just have one team at the top and everyone else, kind of sucks. AEW has a different problem from WWE. WWE actually has a ton of great tag teams, they're just not being used, but AEW has basically none. So I guess in a way, I can kind of understand why the Hurt Syndicate have just been facing bums week after week, but at the same time, that's AEW's fault as well. Wait, how could I forget Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong? Jesus Christ, why are these guys not facing the Hurt Syndicate? Holy shit, that would be awesome. And MJF is with the Hurt Syndicate now, so you could even bring back some Adam Cole MJF stuff if you want. Damn, I want to see that. Anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, AEW just doesn't have a lot of good teams. Hurt Syndicate, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, who don't even really count because they mostly do trio stuff, and FTR. That's about it. I honestly don't know what AEW can do to fix this. They just need to sign some more teams or create some real ones. I really don't have a solution. Trust me, I wish I did. So I'm wrapping this video up and I just realized I've completely forgot to mention anything about women's tag team wrestling. But what is there to even talk about? This is a problem in itself. I mean, this could be a whole video on its own. AEW is not really at fault here because they don't even have a women's tag division, but they do keep teasing it. WWE, on the other hand, I don't even know where to start. Who are the champions? Is it still Liv and Raquel? I have no idea, and I do not care, which again, is not my fault for not caring. It's WWE's. So where does that leave us? Both WWE and AEW have completely different problems, but they lead to the same result. Tag team wrestling that just does not feel important. WWE has the talent, but not the focus. AEW doesn't have enough credible teams, and what that means is that we, the fans, are left watching a division that constantly feels like an afterthought, even though we know how good tag team wrestling can be when it's done right. Tag team wrestling isn't dead, but it's limping, and the worst part, no one in power seems all that interested in fixing it. I don't want to end this video on a hopeless note, but I also don't want to pretend that everything's fine when it's not. I love tag team wrestling and I just want to see it treated with the respect and effort it deserves. That means real teams, real rivalries, real storytelling. The stuff that made us fall in love with tag team wrestling in the first place.
No. You said to me, this is a family secret. And you gave it up to me, boom. Just fucking like that.